What is going on, everybody? I am going to be casting the NCSU LoL Black versus University of Georgia Red League of Legends games today. Theoretically. So right now, I believe that the teams are waiting to start the draft. What's up? Hey, no cursing. This is family-friendly stream night. Don't make me turn chat off. Because, I have it on good authority that this stream will be linked to some people's families. So, I don't want any acting up, any misbehavior. You did multiple things for the first time in the past 24 hours. I don't know if I want to know what you mean by that. Okay, we are still in limbo, waiting for the match to start. Once they get the draft complete, we will have an extra 5 minutes to wait for the spectator mode to kick in. You're on a date from 6 p.m. yesterday until 4 p.m. today? That's not a date. That's just like living with someone for almost a day. Like, that's more than a date. Okay. Hopefully, I will get some word soon that the match is starting. I know for a fact that they've had people drop out before. It wasn't going to be that long initially, but you spent the night. Exactly. So that's more than a date. Yeah. I know people have dropped out before because NCSU LoL Black is theoretically... Okay. They are checked in. There will be a game that I will be commentating on. God, I really hope people's parents don't actually tune into the stream. I don't think I have the confidence or the skill to commentate for people that don't know how this game works. I need like another commentator. I need someone else to like bounce off of, someone else to pay attention to chat. I'm not ready for this. You're gonna take a shower, so be right back. Okay. Okay. Draft should be starting soon, which means we should be into the first match in hopefully within the next 10 minutes. And then I can start getting into things. In the meantime, on NCSU, North Carolina State University, LoL Black, the team consists of Born to Orn in the jungle, who is ranked Diamond 2 with a 51% win rate for this season. In the top lane, we have Icy Phoenix, who is ranked Master with a 51% win rate in top lane this season. In the mid lane, we have Nim, who is Diamond 1 with a 49% win rate this season. In the bot lane, we have Prospector Pete, who is Master with a 55% win rate. And in support, also in the bot lane, we have Riftmancer, who is Platinum 4 with a 51% win rate. On University of Georgia Red, the team consists of Jax with Dublicky, who is ranked Diamond 2 with a 49% win rate. Their jungler is Tugnut, who is Diamond 4 with a 53% win rate. In the mid lane, they have Nijima Sai with a 61% win rate and Platinum 3. And the bot lane ADC in Diamond 3 with a 52% win rate is Diamond. That's their name. And the support is SK Gale, who is Diamond 1 with a 52% win rate. I will probably go over these numbers again in a little bit, but I just wanted to be saying something. This should be an interesting game because NCSU LoL Black is currently on a 2-game win streak that they're going to want to keep, because right now they are tied for top of their group, I guess. Yeah, top of their bracket with the University of Michigan? Bisons. University of Manitoba. Yes, they're tied for second with the University of Manitoba. And if they want to take the lead there, they're not going to want to lose this game. On the flip side, the University of Georgia has lost the past 2 games, tying them with the Piltover Pokes from Oklahoma and Concordia, Texas. And if they're going to want to pull up from being last in the bracket, they're going to want to win this game. So both teams have something to fight for. That should keep this game interesting. Okay, it looks like the draft is starting now, which means in the next 5 minutes or so, we should get in, and then another 5 minutes after that, we should be able to see what's going on. If I could get us in any earlier, I would. But it's the only way to deal with things. This is the only way Riot sees fit to make sure people don't cheat by streaming, so. Ooh, that's tasty. I don't know what else to talk about now. University of Georgia doesn't face the Piltover Pokes until October 25th, so there's nothing to really judge off there. If they had beaten the Piltover Pokes previously to the last team that NCSU went up against, then we might have a better picture of how this game would go. But as things stand now, it could be a complete stomp for NCSU or University of Georgia. Based on rankings, I'm leaning towards a victory for NCSU, but you never know what could happen. First information on drafts is in. Looks like top lane for NCSU is going to be an Aatrox, and the bans are all in. Not all in. I'll just wait. At least I can start pulling up some op.gg stuff. Look up Aatrox. Oh, I totally blanked earlier, misspoke. Uh, oh, it's going to be a little longer before the match starts. The teams had to judge to fix the draft. Apparently, one of the players on the University of Georgia team tried to pick Syndra, who was recently reworked and therefore is not allowed to be played under tournament rules. Yeah, as I was saying, on University of Georgia, their support SK Gale has actually been subbed out. SK Gale was Diamond 1 with 52% win rate and is being subbed in for Hyoi Ku, who is Platinum 3 with a 50% win rate. Okay. Aatrox. Rundle. Holly. Fiora. Sejuani. Duplicate. Duplicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm setting up my pages right now for data on champions during the game while I wait for the draft to come in. Okay. Looks like we've got almost all the champions in. All the bands are in. The draft should be close to complete. I'm gonna try to remember if there's like a really good play, and we can go over that after the game. Maybe talk about how the positioning could have been better for the team that loses, whatever that play may be. Talk about how the team that sets up that play did things right. God, I am shivering. It feels like a big deal. Okay, we have all the champions in. We can talk about things now. Ali, Sivir, Senna, Yoris, Sedvani, Vigar, Kalista, Nico, Kalista, and Nico. Wrong Nico. Nico. Oh. Dang it, wrong Kalista too. Kalista. Oh. 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 Okay. So. Now close that. In the next 2 minutes, we will be getting into the game. And I'm pretty sure everything here is in order. So in the top lane, Icy Phoenix is going to be on Aatrox, who currently has a global win ratio of 49%, so a little less than 50. He's not the strongest top laner right now, but he should be fine. He has a ban rate of 30%, which is very high for a top laner. In the jungle on NCSU's team, we have Trundle, who has a win rate of 50%, just about average, with low pick rates and ban rates, which means he doesn't have a lot of presence overall. Our mid laner is Akali, with a 49% win rate in all ranks. She has middling presence with a 13% ban rate and an almost 10% pick rate. The bot lane Sivir has also a 49.7% win rate, the pick rate of 7.3 and a ban rate of 4.8, and Senna has a 48% win rate. And for the University of Georgia, their top laner Fiora has a win rate of 50%, right around average. Sejuani in the jungle has a win rate of 51.35, so slightly higher powered, but still relatively balanced. Definitely nowhere out of the usual realm for a champion. Vigar with a win rate of 50.98%, almost 51% in the mid lane. Decent strength. Kalista with a honestly quite bad win rate of 46.74%. That means she's very underpowered right now, with a ban rate of only 1.3%. So generally people are really not scared to go up against her. We are about to get into the game now. And lastly, in support on the University of Georgia side, we have Nico with a win rate of 51.1%. So right there, along with Vigar and Sejuani being slightly strong, but definitely nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. Okay. Let us get into this. Gotta mess with a few of my things here. Should be good. Okay. Let's check out mid lane. We've got Nim against Vigar. Up here, we've got Sejuani looking out for any invades, with Fiora backing her up. Trundle, Born to Ornn, doing the same thing, with Aatrox also watching the bot lane. Riftmancer, Senna, watching for invades from the bottom, with Sivir looking out from the top. And Nico is disguised as Kalista, with Kalista looking out for an invade here. With a leash on the top side, they're gonna be able to head to bot early. Leash on top side for both teams this round, actually. Meaning there could be potential for some early fights in the bot lane earlier than usual. These first few minutes of the game could be crucial for University of Georgia in taking over NC State, because NC State is usually gets a pretty strong gold lead over their opponents, and they could snowball off of that. So University of Georgia is really going to want to put the pressure onto them to sort of force out the gold lead that NC State is normally so good at establishing. Looks like some poking early in top, but no fights yet. Akali pushing in the mid lane quite hard already. This will leave her open to ganks. Trundle working on his clear. Trundle heading for an early gank bot lane. Are we going to see a first blood only 3 minutes into the game? And we are. That is a first blood for NC State. Less than 3 minutes into the game. Off to that early oppressive gold lead that is their style. Now Trundle going to be heading back for his red buff. Another early gank coming out from Sejuani. Is the Akali going to make it out? It doesn't look like she will. And that is an early kill for both teams, University of Georgia and NC State. That brings the lead much closer. Looks like Fiora pushed the lane in and got an early back. She will be coming back with an item advantage on the Aatrox because of this. Sejuani looking for the first Scuttle Crab. Already placed a ward down for vision in the bot side. And the first Scuttle Crab goes to Sejuani. Currently leading the Trundle in terms of farm, as well as having a kill from her gank. Giving her an early 400 gold lead on the Trundle. In the bot lane, things are looking much closer. Another fight going down. Will the Sivir get a kill? Yes, she does, but the Nico might get revenge. She flashes for the kill and takes down Sivir. Prospector Pete. Senna backed to spend gold. And we'll be heading back. Nico's going to be backing now to spend the gold that she got for that kill. Sejuani maybe looked for a gank top, but could not find the kill. Fiora going in, but losing that trade with Aatrox pretty heavily. Lots of vision in the topside jungle from University of Georgia. That's going to help them keep tabs on NC State's plays. Akali once again pushing in lane against Veigar, leaving her open to another gank like what we saw early in the game. Maybe not the smartest play. Bot lane pushed in as well, though Sejuani is not looking for a gank on them. She's top lane and they have vision, so they don't really have anything to worry about when they're pushing out lane like this. Now Akali getting stuck by the Veigar cage, but she will use her stealth to walk to safety, leading to a failed gank from the Sejuani, who's going to rotate bot. Unfortunately for Sejuani, at this point, University of Georgia has pushed in NC State LoL Black, which is not really going to allow for a gank from Sejuani. Nico clearing vision in Tribush. Veigar got a solo kill on the Akali, but Trundle takes the kill back. Currently, we are looking at a gold lead for University of Georgia. The first time a team has seen a gold lead against NC State in any match that I've casted for them. They're doing exactly what I said, which is that they need to press NC State early in order to gain a gold lead before NC State has time to snowball. This might be a death for the Nico, getting trapped by the Trundle pillar. Running away, Akali takes it, closes some of the gap. In fact, creates a gap between herself and Veigar. Senna's going to keep stacking her passive. Senna will only get stronger as the game goes on. The University of Georgia is really going to have to push hard to end the game as quickly as possible, because the NC State University team will scale very hard, especially with the Senna on support. Akali roaming into the jungle while Sejuani takes blue buff. Does she know what's happening? Is she going to find out? It looks like she has no idea. Sejuani currently taking Trundle's jungle camps. Akali getting out by the skin of her teeth, avoiding a 3-man pincer, while Aatrox backs and Akali heads back to lane, just in time for Veigar to push it in. We're still looking at a very evenly matched game. Anyone could win at this point. Let's get some objective timers up. Okay, so the first Drake is up, as well as Rift Herald. A solo kill on the Veigar from Akali, closing that gap, or creating an even further gap, I should add. Sejuani looking for something, but not seeing an opportunity. Are we going to see a dragon play anytime soon? Looks like University of Georgia once again pushing in lane on NC State. But for what gain? Is there any value to that, or should they just be trying to freeze in order to open up gank opportunities for Sejuani? Sejuani looking for possibly setting up for a dragon kill right now, taking the scuttle, asserting dominance in the river, and possibly looking for a gank on bot lane. But North Carolina State University is going to play it safe. Do they know that Sejuani's here? A massive ult from the Nico, taking out Senna early, leaving Sivir by herself, and a Rift Herald comes out from the Sejuani. This is going to be massive damage for the bot lane tower, but it's not going to be enough to take it. Trundle is here to help defend. Sivir still up. Not nearly as devastating as it could have been, but certainly not good news for NC State University. That's going to create a big gold gap in the bot lane, especially between the Senna and the Nico. Fortunately, it's better to have that gap on the Senna and the Nico than on the Sivir versus the Kalista, because, as I previously mentioned, Senna does have built-in scaling that gives her a lot of gold value just for playing the game, which is not taken into account by the game metrics. No dragon play off of that yet, but could we be seeing one now? It looks like they're just checking for vision and clearing vision in the tri-bush. Senna trying to farm by herself. This could be another kill on the Senna, and it is. University of Georgia takes Senna again. She's now 0-3. In the top lane, Aatrox being Vigar caged. Ignite comes out on the Fiora, and a Vigar R seals the deal. Aatrox falls, doesn't manage to take out the Fiora. We are seeing quite the gold lead start to grow between the two teams. It's certainly not over yet. However, UGA making a dragon play. Can the combined efforts of Senna, Akali, and Trundle save the dragon and Sivir? Are we going to see a steal? We do see a steal come out from the Trundle. His healing off the charts. And we're going to see a massive team fight for NC State, closing the gold gap, bringing them ahead. Many more kills. That was not very good for the University of Georgia. And that just goes to show you how quickly the state of a game can change, especially this early in the game and with that small of a gold lead. Looks like Aatrox fighting the Fiora again in the top lane. Will it lead to a death for one of them, or is it just a trade? Trundle clearing his camps. Bot lane, NCSU pushing in. Nico clearing vision, might start a fight here. And the Nico gets rooted. This could lead to a death. And it does. The Senna takes one. But Kalista gets a double. Senna tried to win an auto attack fight with a Kalista, and it did not work out in her favor. Kallista's gonna back, not being greedy for those plates, letting them go to waste. She could have gotten an extra bit of gold there, but she probably expected to get caught out if she did. Unfortunate for her, but probably the smartest play. And despite the double kill on the Kalista, the gold lead is still currently in NC State's favor. Though as we saw before, it's close enough that a single good team fight for University of Georgia could shift the scales in their favor once again. A fight starting in top lane between Trundle and Fiora. Doesn't lead to much though. Fiora doesn't want to take that fight, so she just walks out. In bot lane, a gank from Sejuani leads to a death on Sivir. Senna just sitting under tower, planning to defend it. We're seeing a lot of vision supremacy from University of Georgia in the bot side jungle. They are setting up for the next Drake in the next 2 minutes. Maybe, yep, taking the bot side tower, pushing lane in. Nico still applying pressure to the Senna. Well, Kalista just takes CS. And in the mid lane, Akali tries to get a kill on the Sejuani while mid turret is dropped by a Rift Herald from the Trundle, giving the Sejuani a bit of her own medicine, but this time taking a tower to show for it. Trundle does not fall for Nico's W and continues running. And NC State does find the vision. They finally start clearing all of that vision that University of Georgia has been placing in the bot side jungle. They don't quite find all of it, but they certainly cleared a good amount. Looks like Kalista is back pushing bot lane, farming up more of that CS, getting a gold lead on the Sivir, closing that gap between the two teams. This is looking like a very close game. One team fight could definitely tip the scales in either team's favor at this point in the game. Mid lane tower gone on University of Georgia red side, but bot lane tower gone on the blue side. Will they take the red side bot tower? Not with Vygar here to protect it. Hextech Drake is going down for the blue team. That is 2 Drakes on them. If the University of Georgia doesn't start contesting these Drakes, it's very likely that NCSU will finish up the Earth Dragon Soul, making it incredibly difficult to kill both the Trundle and the Aatrox. They could certainly benefit from that tankiness. Aatrox fighting and winning against the Fiora. Will it lead to a kill? Not quite yet. It looks like a gank coming in on bot lane. Akali hunting down the Kalista. And the Nico appears to be soon to fall, while Senna solos or attempts to solo a Vygar. The Nico falls to Akali. Trundle defends Senna, leading to a double kill for NCSU, and nothing to show for it for the University of Georgia. Currently, Aatrox solo defending top lane, but getting ganked and... Oh, will he survive? Under tower now with his healing. That looks like it was very close for the University of Georgia, but they are not going to manage to take the kill on the Aatrox. Ult dropped for both Aatrox and Fiora. Maybe if the Sejuani had had her ult up at that time, it would have led to a kill. Akali takes bot tower and is now taking Sejuani's jungle farm, and suddenly there's a 4K gold lead in NCSU's favor. Like I said earlier, when they get that gold lead, they just snowball and make it incredibly difficult for the teams they're playing against to catch back up. A shift in the scales isn't completely out of the question at this point, though. The gap could still be closed by a team fight or two and some good plays for objectives. Perhaps a Baron play or a Dragon, and things could shift. But the Akali is looking very strong. Trundle, no deaths yet this game. Looks like there's a face-off in mid lane for CS. Nico placing vision in the topside jungle, making sure that NCSU can't sneak a Baron out from under University of Georgia's nose. Ults come out from the Fiora on the Aatrox, but Aatrox does not ult to fight her. With Kalista coming in and Sejuani and Nico coming in, this might be a death for Aatrox, walking away from safety, and he does fall. Ult could not save him this time. He was too far out from under tower. This is definitely the end of the topside turret as well. Senna coming in to try to defend, but it's too late, and she knows, walking back towards mid. Akali pushing out bot side, taking out tower, while Trundle and Sivir together push mid lane out and take inhibitor. Top lane tower and Aatrox's death for mid lane inhibitor. That's a good trade for NCSU, but it did close the gold gap quite a bit for University of Georgia. Now they just need one good team fight and they will be back to even with NC State. This is certainly still anyone's game. It looks like the University of Georgia does not want to let NC State get another Drake. They're clearing vision, possibly setting up for a dragon play in the next 10 seconds. Nico and Sejuani waiting in the bush. NC State also making a play for Drake. They don't want to lose the Drake lead that they have. They're clearing vision now. They're gathering around. And University of Georgia appears to be giving them the dragon. They don't have the team together to contest. They're rotating now, but it's too late. NC State takes the third dragon of the game. That's going to make them a lot tankier and make the next kill on Aatrox that much harder. Now NC State rotating for Baron. Is this going to be a dragon straight into Baron? The Senna almost goes down from one Vigar combo. That is what you would expect at this point in the game, considering that Vigar has almost 200 extra ability power, doubling what his items and natural level scaling are doing. The Sivir goes down, but that is a 3-for-1 in NCSU's favor. They're probably going to be able to take Baron off of this as well. It's unlikely that Kalista and Fiora alone can contest. But NCSU is abandoning the Baron, at least for now. The threat of Kalista and Fiora is too much to ignore. They're going to chase down the Kalista, and she is going to fall. Kalista's going to be down for almost 40 seconds now. And this is a good time to take Baron for NCSU. Akali keeping the Fiora away. Sejuani rotating. Will she make it in time? Aatrox also heading out. Akali soloing Fiora and Sejuani. Fiora gets rooted and killed. Baron is gone. This is huge for NC State. The gold lead and kill lead keeps growing. It's now going to be incredibly difficult for University of Georgia to get this win back. If they hadn't let that Baron go, they might have been able to take it. They probably should have rotated and taken Baron while NC State was taking the third Drake. Then they could have pushed in these towers, got some bounties gold, and maybe closed the gap and put more pressure on NC State to defend their lands. But instead, they just farmed. And allowing NC State to get both the Drake and the Baron is going to make it really hard for University of Georgia to take this back. Callista still farming on 3 full items, so she is kind of at the peak of her power for time. Like, she will get stronger, but not at the same efficiency that she has. A fight coming out between Aatrox, Callista, and Fiora. They are going to force Aatrox to leave. He can't quite solo an ADC and a dueling bruiser. But in return, bot lane is getting pushed out, but they do manage to defend that as well for the moment. But mid lane also pushed in. They're going to have to defend this inhibitor, leaving Nico and Vigar alone to defend against 4 NCSU teammates with Baron buffed minions. This is going to be the end of the bot lane tower. Now only bot lane inhibitor tower remains. Aatrox still split pushing top lane. Fiora is being forced to abandon top lane in order to rotate and help University of Georgia defend their base. In 40 seconds, a dragon. So we are going to see a play for either Earth Dragon Soul or stopping NCSU from getting Earth Dragon Soul. If the University of Georgia doesn't stop NC State from taking this 4th Drake, it will be that much harder for them to take this win back. And they are certainly showing it, grouping together, but the Vigar goes down. A huge ult from the Nico, but it's not enough to save her. And the Akali solos the Callista and the Sejuani. Enough for the team to come in. And it looks like NC State is making a play, quite possibly, to end the game here. You don't need a 4th Drake if the game is over. And with all but the Fiora down for at least the next 10 seconds, and now Fiora too, the Nico and the Vigar are not going to be able to take this game back. And that is a first game victory for NC State. But that doesn't necessarily mean the end for the University of Georgia, as this is a best of 3. So if they can still win the next 2 games and turn things around. So, yeah, that was the first game. I know there aren't really people here, but, that was interesting. Well, let's talk about that game. Let me try to see like what people were building. Yeah. Let's see. So let's start with the Aatrox. The Aatrox was building Black Cleaver, Eclipse, Merc Treads, definitely a good call. Their team was very heavily AD. Merc Treads is a good call. Caulfield's, so going into a Death's Dance, that is is that pick rate or win rate? It's gotta be pick rate. That is the most picked build on Aatrox for sure, and with a 60% win rate. It's not his highest win rate build, but it is certainly a strong one. Definitely makes sense to build that on Aatrox. Let's go into the Trundle, who is building a Divine Sunderer and went straight from Divine Sunderer into Thornmail without Titanic Hydra or a Blade of the Ruin King, which is not considered the meta build, but certainly did not do bad for him as he ended the game 4-0. That tankiness helped, and especially building the armor items into the full AD team, or heavy AD team, as I mentioned, definitely helped him with that survivability. Next, the Akali built Rocket Belt, Cinder Flame, or Shadow Flame, Zanya's, and a Dark Seal into a Magi's. That is a very uncommon build on Akali, to say the least, with only 4.1% of games building that, but certainly a very strong build with a 60% win rate, and clearly it works, because 15-2 is not a bad kill death ratio at all. She certainly did a lot in that game. If we look at graphs, she only did barely more damage than the Aatrox, but certainly did a lot of damage, and Aatrox does extra damage because he's a tank and he's in the tank lane, so he's fighting someone with more health. Naturally, he'll do more damage. That's not to say that he didn't do a lot of damage, just that it makes sense that he would do so much. Next, the Sivir build with a Kraken Slayer, a Phantom Dancer into an Infinity Edge. Certainly a common build path. 48% of games with a 60% win rate. It makes sense to build that. Finally, the Senna build. An Umbral Glaive, which is not a mythic item, into Eclipse, which is her mythic item, but Umbral Glaive first, which is a little unique, but that is the meta way to do things. Umbral into Eclipse, into... looks like Mana Mune next. An uncommon build path similar to the Akali. Only 3% of players are building that path, but a 60% win rate certainly serves them well and led them to a win. Now, was it just their builds that led them to that win? Well, let's look at University of Georgia's builds, see how they compare and that it probably was not just build that allowed them to get that win. On the Fiora in the top lane, a Divine Sunderer into a Ravenous Hydra. That's certainly meta. What's not meta is an Executioner's calling after that to deal with healing, but it does make sense against the Aatrox. That was certainly a good choice of itemization. Under normal itemization, it would have been a Death Stance next, but otherwise normal should have led to a 60% win rate, but clearly build isn't the only thing that matters. Next up, the Sejuani in the jungle, building Sunfire. Well, that's interesting. Another off-meta build, also from the jungler, because if you remember, the Trundle was not building on the meta build for Trundle, but also for Sejuani, off-meta with the Frozen Heart. That's not one of the main items expected from a Sejuani, but Bramble Vest is at least an item component for the next meta item for Sejuani. And clearly, I'm not really sure what she was trying to do with that Frozen Heart, because this is a very heavy AD team from NCSU. So the extra armor does do good, but I think that a Thornmail would have made just as much sense, especially for the amount of healing from the Aatrox, the Trundle, and the Senna, all of which are very heavy healing champions. So it seems like a Thornmail might have done better for the Sejuani overall. We don't know for sure, though. On to the Veigar, who built a Luden's Tempest into a Rabadon's, and with a tier, but was probably, at least if he was going the closest thing to a meta build, was probably going to be going Sonya's Hourglass next. That build path is not very common, with 4.32% play, but it does have a 60% win rate. But let's talk about that. In my experience as a League of Legends player, as a person who enjoys Veigar, generally, and especially into high engaged teams like Aatrox, Trundle, and Akali, it makes more sense to me to go Everfrost, which is the more common build on Veigar, because the Everfrost allows you to get that extra CC when people are chasing down on you. The only thing that I expect is, as a Veigar player, or as a League of Legends player, I find it hard to pay attention to active items, and that's the only reason that I build a Luden's Tempest on Veigar instead of an Everfrost. And so I would expect that if you're playing at this level of the game, you should probably be going Everfrost, especially into a team like this. And that may have served this Veigar player better, because clearly ending the game 1-7-3 is not a great KDA. So, and this mid laner is an Akali main, it appears. In fact, I don't see Veigar at all in their match history. So that's a really interesting pick for them to go, and I expect that they probably just aren't confident enough on Vigar to take the Everfrost, which I understand, but if you're playing at this level of the game, I think that an Everfrost is the better pick, and you should be picking champs that you really do understand how to play. And now let's talk about the Callista. Callista is my main, and just looking at her build, that looks to me like the correct build path, and she certainly did very well on their team, and that is by far the most meta build path on Callista, with a 40% pick rate compared to common build paths like on not Sivir, that's a bad example. On Fiora, where the top build is only picked 30% of time, a 10% increase of games is quite a large margin for champions like this. So you know that is the best build by far, and it certainly served the Callista well, with her doing a solid amount of damage as compared to the Sejuani and the Neeko. And finally, let's talk about the Neeko build. Neeko in support is... This is not the most common Neeko support build at all. She was trying to build, it looks like, a regular support build on a non-support champion. The more meta build would be an Everfrost or a Hextech rocket built for gap closing or CC respectively. Probably the Everfrost in a game like this, for the same reasons I said for the Vigar. With an engage heavy team like Aatrox, Trundle, and Akali, you want that extra CC. You want to be able to close the gap. However, unlike the Vigar, Neeko does have a lot longer range CC from her root ability, which is her E. So it's less necessary for the Everfrost, in which case she might have wanted to go with the Hextech Rocket Belt for gap closing, which may have helped early in the game going in on Sivir or Senna to get those kills and further grow the gap that they did have at one point in the bot lane. They were ahead, and they could have kept that lead. And another thing that you see on most Neeko players, especially at this level of the game, is a Zanya's Hourglass, which allows her to ult in, say, after using a Hextech Rocket Belt, and then freeze so that she stops taking damage and can allow her Callista to attack and get those kills. So that might have helped a lot. That Neeko was definitely going a very interesting path. The Shirelia's Battle Song and Redemption don't really mesh well with her kit as a champion. So if University of Georgia had sort of made those changes to their build, given that they were ahead at some points in the game, we might have seen a different outcome to this game overall. And we are almost done with the picks for the next game, so we should be getting into that pretty soon. Just another couple minutes. The picks are almost done, and then we will be able to spectate the next match, see how that goes, do some more commentary. it looks like we might see a Cassiopeia mid. I'm just guessing. Looks like a Trundle top or a Trundle jungle once again. I'm theorizing Ezreal bottom. With Janna support. I'm not sure who the North Carolina State University top laner is yet. It is Set. We are going to see a Set in the top lane for North Carolina State University. Okay. Hopefully we can... Okay. In the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we will be into the next game. In the meantime, we can talk about these champ picks. So that is a Dr. Mundo in the top lane for University of Georgia. A Hecarim in the jungle for University of Georgia. Oh. They are pulling out Akali in mid lane for the University of Georgia, which is the University of Georgia's mid laner's main champion. So we should see some more impressive gameplay out of them this game than we did on their Vigar gameplay. Misfortune in the bot lane as ADC being supported by a Soraka, which, if they just choose to build the same way they built the first game, should work much better for their itemization. Though, hopefully that's not the only way that they know how to play. Looks like they're trying to maybe flip the script on NC State. They've got a very high mobility, high engage, lots of healing team here, which is very similar to what NC State was running last game. The Soraka and the Dr. Mundo paired with the Hecarim, it's going to be a lot of healing. The immunity to CC that comes with the Mundo, as well as the speed and the dash from Hecarim and Akali, is going to make this a very high engaged team for NC State to deal with. But fortunately for them, they have champions like Janna, whose ult will be able to knock away these engages. Cassiopeia can punish engages with her ult and freeze them. Trundle into Hecarim is pretty good because he can steal the movement speed from Hecarim and counter jungle really hard. And Set as well can counter Mundo, who's a very high health champion, with his ult, and do a lot of damage to the enemy team if he gets a strong ult off. So all in all, these teams both are pretty strong, and there's a lot of room for some very interesting plays coming out this game. And University of Georgia is really going to want to win this game, because then they can tie things up and we'll be able to go for another game against the North Carolina State University and maybe get back up, get ahead of things, and raise their rankings on the overall leaderboards in this bracket. So, yes. we are looking at. And for anybody watching at home who was watching last game, the sides are flipped. Last time, North Carolina State University was on the blue side, this side of the map, and this time they are on the red side, the top side, and vice versa for the University of Georgia, which is now on the blue side instead of red side where they were before. So, looks like we're going to be seeing a leash on the bot side for Trundle this time, as opposed to top side where he was starting last time. But we are seeing a Hecarim top side farm with no leash from the Mundo, which is already shaking things up a little bit from the last game, where we saw leashes on top side from both teams. In the bot lane, everyone has now arrived in lane. Misfortune already off to a strong start with CS. Mundo and Set already fighting. Set might already be off to a first blood. No, the Mundo is going to walk out, but he has already used his potions. Set has as well. Set walking up, making sure that the Mundo is unable to farm, denying XP. Cassiopeia pushing in lane against the Akali already and having her below half health. A strong start from Cassiopeia. In the bot lane, the opposite is the case, with the University of Georgia pushing in NC State, pushing in Riftmancer and Prospector Pete on Janna and Ezreal respectively. Like, Trundle looking to find any farm, steal any farm from the Hecarim, but Hecarim has already cleared his entire jungle. A teleport back from Cassiopeia early in the game, an early back to get a Dark Seal. That is a confident play from her. She's expecting to get kills on the Akali and stack that Dark Seal. Trundle coming in for a possible gank here. The Akali is going to go down. First blood is going to go to Cassiopeia. That Dark Seal was the correct buy for Cassiopeia. She's already started stacking it. Hecarim was focused on taking bot scuttle. Looks like a ping comes down from the Akali, questioning where her jungler was, why he wasn't there to help her. And he might be coming in for a gank bot side. North Carolina State University is going to have to look out for that. But this could be good news for the University of Georgia. The flash comes out from the Janna. They don't quite turn it around, but they do defend. They manage to prevent a death. Another death from Akali. Cassiopeia is just going to keep stacking that Dark Seal. That's just going to make her stronger with every death. Of course, there is the added risk that if she does die, she loses that progress. Looks like a Trundle gank top lane. Is the Set going to walk up under tower? Mundo flashes. It looks like he will walk away, just barely, only 50 health, but he will survive. That is very fortunate because NCSU does not need any more lead in this game, or University of Georgia is going to have a tough time. Just like last game, NC State is incredibly good at snowballing the leads that they get early and making it very hard for their opponents to come back. The University of Georgia did a very good job last game of keeping up early and made it a close game. But if they don't keep that up this time, then they're not going to be able to prevent this defeat. Hecarim clearing his jungle as well as Trundle. A possible another kill coming out. Not quite, but the Akali certainly has it rough in this lane against Cassiopeia. The Trundle and the Set appear to be fairly evenly matched, but the Set is still denying CS. He has reached his level 6 first. Mundo just barely over halfway to level 6. That does give Set an advantage if he chooses to go in on the Mundo. Trundle rotating in, but walking instead towards bot lane. Misfortune getting knocked up by the Janna. Are they going to try to capitalize on this? They are doing some damage to her, but it doesn't look like a kill is going to come out yet. Cassiopeia coming in for the blue buff being gifted to her by the Trundle. That mana, they know that she can snowball, and he wants to do everything he can at this point to help Cassiopeia keep this lead on this Akali, snowball it even further. Akali getting cut off by the Cassiopeia. This is a fight coming out, and Akali is going to take back the kills against Cassiopeia, get shut down gold, and it doesn't quite close the gap that was between them. Cassiopeia still has a 500 gold lead on the Akali individually, but it does make things a lot closer. In the bot lane, a kill on Janna, taking out the Misfortune. Soraka's not quite able to save her bot laner, and this is going to quite possibly lead in to a dragon play for NCSU, and it doesn't. Trundle leaves, decides to go back. Ezreal getting a solo kill on Soraka under tower. Hecarim still just farming. Mid lane getting pushed under by the Cassiopeia. However, Akali at this point does have the level advantage and has reset the stacks on Darkseal that Cassiopeia had, essentially nullifying that early game investment while gaining some stacks for her own Darkseal. Set in the top lane, pushing under tower. Looks like Hecarim making a play for the Rift Herald. And Set is not going to contest it. That means that there will be an early Rift Herald for the University of Georgia, just like the last game. Looks like Tugnut likes to take early heralds, put some pressure on the lanes that are feeling pressure for the other side. Looks like first turret plating is going to go to the North Carolina State University. They're going to leave a ward there, keep an eye on things. And the University of Georgia is going to be clearing some of their vision and staying in lane. Cassiopeia getting all inned by the Akali, taking a lot of damage, but the R comes down from Cassiopeia, stunning her. Flash comes out from Cassiopeia. That turns the fight, and Akali goes down. The Hecarim is going straight for the Cassiopeia, however, and immediately leaves, does not give Trundle an opportunity to turn the fight. That is a 1-for-1 for both teams. And it looks like maybe now NC State is interested in taking the first dragon. An interesting time. Hecarim is probably going to find them, quite possibly going to try to steal it. Instead, he just keeps walking right by. It looks like he has no idea. He has no idea, or he just does not have the confidence to fight for the dragon. Set almost dead, but still trying to farm. Keep denying from the Mundo, who has turned things around and is pushing in the lane. Set does have ult. This could be risky for Mundo. If Set ults him under tower, he is going to be tough, in a tough spot. Ult comes down from Soraka, and ult comes down from Misfortune as well, almost killing the Janna, but not quite. It looks like neither of the ults are going to be enough to end the fight in the University of Georgia's favor. And with Cassiopeia coming down, it is going to make things tough for the University of Georgia, who Misfortune was left high and dry and was killed for it. NC State has quite a lot of vision in the bot lane, but the Rift Herald is going to come down in mid lane, place some pressure on that Cassiopeia, who has been dominating the mid lane thus far. It doesn't do much except take some plates, though. Set ults the Mundo, uses his W to get back some of that shield. Mundo ult comes out, but is not enough. Hecarim is going to be able to finish the fight, clean it up, and make it a 1-for-1. However, the lane presence that Hecarim has as a fast jungler, especially over Trundle, cannot be overstated in this game. He's cleaned up 2 fights already. He's great as a jungler at picking up those kills that are just barely lost by his teammates, and that's how he's going to keep picking up kills and possibly be able to change things for the University of Georgia in this game. Plates are going to go down. Not many plates being taken in this game overall. Just a couple from each side. The most that went down were in mid lane from the Rift Herald. Are we seeing a switch up, or is this just the breakdown of laning phase? In bot lane, a gank from the Trundle leads to a death for Soraka under tower, and the Trundle is just going to run out. Is the Akali going to be able to clean things up, though? The barrier comes down, or not the barrier, the Janna E comes down, saves the Trundle from the Ignite and the Misfortune ult. That is very unfortunate for the University of Georgia. They aren't able to pick up a kill to make that an even trade in the bot lane, unfortunately for them. Hecarim coming back, taking some of that jungle. Hecarim is currently very far ahead of Trundle in CS, and as well as being up a kill, it leads him to have an almost 1,500 gold lead on the Trundle as an individual player. That is a very strong gold lead, and is making the gap between the University of Georgia and NC State's gold that much closer. Only about 300 gold. A single kill for the University of Georgia will close the gap. Cassiopeia may be getting greedy for the Akali. Hecarim currently attempting to solo, but instead gets turned around. And is this going to be a double kill for Cassiopeia? It is not. The Akali ult is too strong. She's able to take the Cassiopeia out, make that a 1-for-1 kill. In the bot lane, however, a double kill on the Ezreal makes things a little tougher for the University of Georgia, as well as the loss of the bot lane turret. That is going to be tough and is probably going to lead straight into the second dragon for NC State. Trundle certainly thinks it should. Will the bot lane back him up? It appears that they will. Hecarim stopping for red buff. Looks like once again he is not focused on dragon whatsoever. And that is going to be a second dragon for the North Carolina State University. Akali is going to be pushing in mid lane. However, she could get caught out here. No, she knows when to back up, play it safe. Set is going to be... Oh. This is just like what we saw last game. An early Baron, not Baron, Rift Herald. An early Rift Herald for University of Georgia leads into a second Rift Herald for NC State, as well as both of the first dragons. Very similar jungle scenario to the previous game. Hopefully they can turn things around and make the rest of the game not a repeat of history, or they will be the first group in this bracket to be 0-3 in the NACE Starleague Open Plus Group C, I believe. Looks like Ezreal currently trying to defend against both Soraka and Misfortune at once in the mid lane. Soraka and Misfortune push lane out and then leave. Now there are 3 laners back in the mid lane though. And this is going to lead to probably getting pushed right back. Misfortune still trying to defend against the Trundle. In bot lane, Mundo pushing in heavily. This looks like it'll be the end of top turret for North Carolina State University. The set cannot defend against the Mundo by himself. In bot lane, we are seeing the familiar faces of Akali versus Cassiopeia. Akali does not land her E. Probably could have killed the Cassiopeia if she had landed it. Looks like in the mid lane, mid turret is going down with that Rift Herald that we saw get taken, and it is going to lead to a team fight. The University of Georgia appears to be turning this fight around. Akali can't quite take out Ezreal under tower. The teleport from Set kills the Akali. The Soraka might be next to fall. NC State chasing. Soraka's healing is too much, and she falls due to the quick flash with Q knocking her up from the Janna, leading to 2 deaths for the University of Georgia, as well as the loss of a tower, and nothing to show for it against NC State. a very unfortunate team fight for them. The gold difference between the two teams is still very close, however. Despite the massive lead in kills that NC State has, it is not the end for the University of Georgia. One good team fight, and they can still close this gap. They can still take a Baron or the next two Dragons and tie things up. Looking at the scoreboard alone, one might think that the game is already decided, but it is anyone's game. Mundo walking in on the set. How will the set turn this around? It looks like he's just getting autoed down by Mundo. A W comes out, but will it be enough? An ult comes down from Mundo and from Set. Mundo's healing is too much, and the set falls. In the mid lane, Akali versus Ezreal. Trundle looking for a gank, but not finding the opportunity. Cassiopeia pushing out the bot lane. Mundo rotating down. Is he going to clear the ward from the dragon or the Baron pit? He will not. It looks like we are seeing NC State setting up for their third dragon, but the University of Georgia is ready to fight for this one. They are going to be putting down the pressure, trying to force NC State off of it, but NC State is not yielding. The ult comes down from the Hecarim. The Janna ult comes down. Akali soloing Ezreal in the backline. Ezreal does not survive, but neither does Akali. And it looks like the University of Georgia is backing off to regroup, but they did, at least for now, successfully force NC State off of the dragon. We're going to see a kill for Cassiopeia and for Set, but Mundo is going to kill the Cassiopeia and make it out. Mundo healing is carrying him in this game to multiple kills. He's doing very well. And NC State is going to turn right back around and take this dragon. That team fight could have gone worse for both teams. It ended up being pretty even overall, but this dragon is going to tilt the scales in NC State's favor. It will be interesting to see how the University of Georgia tries to turn things around at this point. But once again, even with 3 dragons and only 7 kills to NC State's 18, the gold lead is still incredibly close due to champions like Mundo and Hecarim and Misfortune, who have very good farm, and especially Hecarim, whose minion farming is extraordinarily higher than Trundle's. That is keeping the gold lead closer than it could be, and giving the University of Georgia a fighting chance. It looks like we're seeing maybe some setting up for Baron from the University of Georgia, at least clearing some vision from North Carolina State University, trying to make things harder for them. We may be about to see a team fight in the mid lane. No, the University of Georgia is backing off. Once again, dropping a lot of vision down in Baron Pit, making sure they know, the North Carolina State University, that is, making sure they know what's going on in the Baron Pit at all times. They don't want to let University of Georgia sneak a Baron out from under their noses, because they know a play like that could change their game. Mundo standing in top lane. That is not great for your APM. And NC State starting a Baron play. They are going to run away, though, because Mundo is coming in. A teleport comes down from Akali, an ult from Misfortune, and they are successfully forced off of Baron. This is leading to a massive team fight in the mid lane, though. It looks like the Hecarim might fall. An ult from Set puts him in prime position. Akali dashes in, gets 2 kills, takes out the bot lane of NC State, but he is not going to be able to finish off the Set. The W comes out. That armor is not easily broken through by the Akali, and she does fall. Mundo, however, makes it out as usual with plenty of healing, especially from that Warmug's armor, allowing him to go right back up to full health. We are going to see him attempt to push off NC State from Baron by himself. He is not going to be able to. A Baron for NC State, and this is furthering the gap between NC State and the University of Georgia. That is going to make things very hard for the University of Georgia to close things. The gap, while short before, is only growing. Mundo under tower is going to take a lot of damage. If he can just walk out like this, he will heal it all back up, especially with the Soraka ult. Set defending bot lane with Baron buff. Mid lane still getting pushed in. I don't know why Discord isn't in streaming mode. Discord notifications shouldn't be popping up. Okay, we're gonna see Akali defending mid lane. You have a cat on your lap? Good for you. Oh, we are going to see the Trundle and the Janna protecting the bot lane. They kill Misfortune just like that. And it's going to make this dragon very hard to defend for the University of Georgia. NC State making a play for it. University of Georgia trying to find their in, but it just does not show. That is going to be a Dragon Soul, a Fire Infernal Soul for NC State. That is a lot of damage for them, and they are pushing heavy in the mid lane with a refresh off that Dragon Soul. A Set ult comes down on the Hecarim, takes him out. Trundle takes out the Soraka. The Akali dies. That's the mid lane tower gone. NC State is probably going to be able to end the game off this. A good ult from the Misfortune, but it is not enough. Inhibitor from the mid lane gone as well. Mundo trying his best to poke them down, but he knows if he goes in, he won't survive. The North Carolina State University taking the towers. And that is going to be another victory for NC State, making their record in this game 3-0, and making the University of Georgia record 0-3 respectively. That is very good for NC State, not so great for the University of Georgia, and that does mean that this game is over. And this best of 3 is also over. So that's probably going to be the end of stream for tonight, because I don't have anything left to commentate on. So if you were here, I hope you enjoyed it. And I will probably be back commentating again on Thursday. So hopefully you'll come back and watch then. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah.